Next on Newsmax Prime, Donald Trump is shaking up the 2016 presidential race. Just how is he changing the conversation? Our political panel will discuss. Then the Obama administration goes before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans to answer the lawsuit filed by Texas and 25 other states. Michael Cutler and Tom Ruskin on what impact today's hearing may have. Plus, how do millennials and African Americans view Donald Trump? Lisa Darden and Gabby Morangiello offer their perspectives. Newsmax Prime for Friday, July 10th starts now. Good evening and welcome to the Friday edition of Newsmax Prime. I'm J.D. Hayworth. Of prime interest tonight, Trump's meteoric rise. The Donald continues his surge to the top spot in the crowded GOP field. After coming in ahead of his closest competitors, Rand Paul and Jeb Bush, by 4 points in the latest national poll from The Economist and YouGov. What's even more astounding is that in the same poll, 1 in 4 registered Republican voters say Trump is either their first or their second choice. By all accounts, Donald's straight talk seems to resonate with voters. When I sat down with him recently for my exclusive interview, he did not mince words when discussing what sets him apart from his competition in this very crowded Republican field.
Remember this. A politician is all talk, no action. They're not going to get us to the promised land, and I've been saying this. They are not getting us there. They're controlled by lobbyists. They're controlled by their donors. They're controlled by special interests. They are not getting us to our they're just not getting us there. If you're looking at making our country great again, they're not going to do it. Look, we all have strengths and weaknesses. My strength is I'll make this country so strong, and I'll create jobs like nobody else can. Nobody can create jobs like I do. And I'll strengthen up our borders. And I'll be big with the vets, and I'll be big with the military. Because our military is treated badly, and our vets are treated horribly.
I'm pleased to be joined at the anchor desk by Miranda Khan. And for more on the story, we're about to be joined by 2 great panelists. From New York City, the former Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCaughey. And from Phoenix, my old stomping grounds, my good friend, talk radio host Josh Bernstein. To you both, thanks for taking time for Newsmax Prime tonight. Betsy, first to you. Has Donald Trump changed the conversation for 2016?
Well, he certainly has, and for the better, because he is a straight talker. None of the weasel words you hear from the other political candidates and from the political commentators as well. So he's forcing everyone to be more direct. And let's face it, he's so rich that he can't be bought, unlike his purported competitor, Hillary Clinton. So those are 2 big pluses for Donald Trump. He's making this a far more honest competition.
But Josh, is Trump hurting the GOP brand?
No, as a matter of fact, I don't believe he is. I think what's hurting the GOP brand is the fact that they have squandered all of their political capital in November of 2014 by not stopping executive amnesty. I think what has squandered, and hurting their brand was not stopping Obamacare. And you can go on and on and on and on and on. I think that when the establishment Republicans act like Democrats, it doesn't really give the American voting public much of a difference. I think what Donald Trump has done has awoken the 7 to 8 million people that stayed home for whatever reason in 2012 and did not go out to vote. They are now seeing a difference between the 2 parties, and I believe it is a stark difference. And like my colleague mentioned, she is correct. He doesn't have to answer to anybody. He is independently wealthy. And he can run ads in all of Obama's 57 states. He doesn't have to eat fried Twinkies and kiss babies in Iowa. He can truly be his own self. And I believe it's an awakening. And you can obviously see that it is resonating as he's had to move his venue to a bigger establishment for this weekend.
Well, let's follow up on that, Josh, since you're out there in my old stomping grounds in Phoenix. This weekend, the Donald was going to be originally at the Arizona Biltmore Resort, but as they say, quote, due to overwhelming response, the venue has been changed to the Phoenix Convention Center. That has to signal a huge jump in expected attendance, does it not?
Oh, without a doubt it does. And again, it just goes to show you that by him being different from the other 19,300 candidates that have declared to run for the presidency on the Republican side, wink, wink, he has now proven to himself that he is different, that he is bold, he is boisterous, he is unapologetic, and more than anything, and unfortunately what happened in San Francisco, and God rest that poor woman's soul, Catherine Steinle, but he has been vindicated for his comments, as well as there's been a validation for the fact that liberal policies in sanctuary cities do not work and are an endangerment to society.
Betsy, we mentioned the Economist poll showing Trump in the lead, but despite that, many feel that the Bush brand will benefit from the fallout that Trump has received, with Jeb having the establishment vote seemingly in hand already.
Well, pundits will make every kind of speculation possible, but what's really clear is that right now Trump is on the rise, and none of those Republican operatives, none of those career politicians has figured out how to fire him yet.
Now, Donald Trump slammed former President George W. Bush for taking money in exchange for speaking to a veterans charity. Usually you train your fire directly on your opponents. Josh, was this a smart move for Trump to go after George W. as Jeb's brother?
Not necessarily. I would agree that that probably wasn't the smartest thing. But I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to distinguish himself from the establishment crowd, and being the different candidate, being the one that can change hearts and minds, bring people together, and ignite the flame of liberty once again. And I think what's happening with Donald Trump, again, is he's going out and he's being himself. People are going to love that, or people are going to hate that. But ultimately, he is taking some strong positions. He is showing leadership on a national scale. And it's going to be interesting to see him in the debates. I predict that in the debates, I believe that Jeb Bush and some of the other more establishment Republicans are going to immediately about face and joust with him immediately and try to knock him down. I mean, look, the establishment is so afraid of Donald Trump, they don't even want him to show up on the debate stage because they're afraid of the ramifications of what he might say and what it might do to their hand-picked establishment candidates.
Yes. Yeah, you're talking about the... Go ahead, Betsy.
If they can't handle Donald Trump, they can't handle Putin, they can't handle the Ayatollah. They've got to show they can spar with Donald Trump, and most Americans would love to see Donald Trump go mano a mano with Putin.
But let me ask you this, Betsy. Who do you think should be afraid of Trump the most when it comes to those debates?
Anyone who's up close to him in the polls. The people who are down in the small single digits, they have nothing to lose. Just being on the stage is a big win for them. But anybody who's coming in second or third, whether it's Jeb Bush or Scott Walker or Marco Rubio, even Ben Carson, although I doubt that Donald Trump will go after Carson. But the other career politicians who are closest to him in the polls have the most to lose.
Josh, out there in Phoenix, I could not help but notice, I guess it was a tweet out of Mayor Greg Stanton. It's as if the mayor came unhinged, calling Donald Trump every name in the book. And when I saw that, I said, wow, it's not just his Republican primary opponents who are scared of the Donald, it's Democrats like Greg Stanton as well. Do you get that vibe out there in the Valley of the Sun?
Well, I think it's unfortunate that, Senator Flake, Senator John McCain, and a couple of other prominent Republicans in the state of Arizona have all decided, including our own governor, Doug Ducey, who I've had the pleasure to sit down and interview, all of them have decided to skip the Trump event. I think that they've kind of bought into the establishment's thinking that somehow he's hurting the name brand. And what I find laughable about this, JD, is the fact that the Republicans actually thought and think that they have a chance to win the majority of the Hispanic vote. I don't believe it was ever in play, certainly not in play now. And I believe with pandering to illegal immigrants, you're certainly not going to win them. You're not going to win those votes. And more importantly and more dangerously, you are simultaneously abandoning your conservative base.
And we will have to leave it right there. We thank you very much, Josh Bernstein in Phoenix and Betsy McCaughey in New York City. And you should note that we will be covering Donald Trump's Western swing. You can go to our website, Newsmax.com, for all the information over the weekend as he heads out to my neck of the woods, so to speak.
It will be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, we are going to keep an eye on that. There is more to come right here on Newsmax Prime, so stay right where you are. We'll be right back.